Vinyasa. So we're going to break down Vinyasa, we're going to break down plank, we're going to break down all the options with your plank, and then we're also going to break down chaturanga, so chaturanga down. As a yoga teacher, we see so many improper chaturangas, and because you don't have the strength to do a chaturanga, that doesn't mean you can't do something, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. But as a yoga teacher, we see in group classes, we see so many incorrect chaturangas, and it's not that you're doing it incorrect, it's that we don't want you to injure yourself, because with all of your body weight just being on your arms, it's going to be really easy to injure yourself. So we're going to go through plank, we're going to go through chaturanga, and then we're going to go through upward facing dog and all of those options, and then going into downward facing dog as well. So a vinyasa, we hear it all the time in yoga. We hear the teacher say, okay, take your vinyasa, and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm just going to do what everybody else is doing, right? Or you'll hear a teacher say, step back into your plank, chaturanga down, scoop the chest forward, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Or you'll hear a teacher say vinyasa, just all of that, right? Or you'll hear a teacher say go through your flow. There's all these different words that teachers say, and it's the same three poses. So vinyasa is your plank, and then your chaturanga, and then your upward facing dog, and then your downward facing dog. So, let's talk about the first pose. Oh, I wish I had somebody so bad because I'm gonna get tired. Vinyasas are really tired. I just realized right now I'm gonna want somebody for this because I'm gonna get tired. Let's talk about plank first. So in plank, if you feel like you can't press away from the ground, you can rotate your hands so that your pointer fingers are facing up. A lot of us point our middle fingers up. You can point your pointer fingers up. So your shoulder width distance apart, your pointer fingers are facing up, and then guys, when we put our hands into the ground, I don't want to see your hands together. I want to see your hands spread wide as you possibly can be, and then you're putting the pressure here in your L shape. In the loser shape right here, you're putting the pressure here. So it's here in this fatty, meaty part of your thumb, and then it's right here where your pointer finger attaches to the palm of your hand. That's where you're putting the pressure, because this is muscly, this is fat. You don't want to be putting the pressure right here where your pinky attaches to your wrist, because if you touch this, touch your hand right now. This is meaty, this is muscular, this can hold the weight. This is just bone. This can't hold weight. This isn't designed to hold weight. And so when we're putting the weight in our hands, we want to be shifting the weight here versus the outside edge of our hand. So spread your fingers wide. Pointer fingers point to the top of your mat. Pinkies point to the edges. Press down into your thumbs. And then it doesn't matter where your knees are. It doesn't matter where your legs are right now. And then I want you to try to bring your chin to the floor. See your shoulder blades are pressing together? And then try to bring your shoulder blades away from each other. Press yourself away from the floor. So drop yourself down, and then press away from the floor. Try to create space in your armpits, and spread your shoulders away from each other. Pull your belly button into your spine, pressing away from the ground. Step back into your plank. In your plank, you're not just hanging out, right? So my chin isn't reaching down, I'm pressing away from the ground. Pulling my belly button into my spine, kind of pumping up my back. I'm pulling my thighs to the sky and pushing my heels towards the back of the room. Breathe in here. Also notice, I'm not lifting my butt, and I'm not dropping my butt. I'm lifting with my thighs, and I'm pulling my belly button into my spine. Woo! That is your plank pose. I'm all tired. I'm gonna start sweating right now. That is your plank pose. And so you do not want to be, you don't want your butt lifted, you don't want your butt dropping because that's gonna cause pain. You wanna be pressing away from the ground. So a lot of us will say like, oh, plank is so hard, but you're not using the muscles that are strong. So if you press away from the ground, you switch from using these muscles to using these muscles. These are strong muscles. You can do anything when you're using these muscles. But when you sink, you're using this muscle to hold you up, and this isn't a very strong muscle. On some of us it is, but when we push away, this is stronger, right? We're using the backs of our arms, we're using the backs of our body, the back of our body, our lats to hold us up. That's stronger than this, right? And so you kind of want to lead with the stronger muscles, the bigger muscles, so that you don't tire yourself out quickly. So you've heard me say it before, and I'm going to say it again. Doing the hard stuff isn't necessarily stronger, more flexible, quicker. All it is more technique, right? And so pressing away from the ground in your plank, that's a technique that you're going to learn that's going to make you be able to hold something longer and stronger, right? Without shaking your body and without feeling like you're going to pass out. Okay, so that's plank. So far, let's say I was in a high lunge, right? Listen, I'm teaching you a high lunge. Hands come down, take your vinyasa, right? Step one is to step back into plank. I spread my fingers wide, I point my pointer fingers towards the front of the room. I press away from the ground. I press my thighs to the sky, my heels towards the back of the room, and my belly button into my spine. That's step one. It's fun. You're like, oh, I'm sweating. It's still fun. Okay, next, in chaturanga. Chaturanga is not the same thing as a push-up. Push-ups look like this, right? This is what a push-up looks like. If you've ever seen somebody on Instagram or Facebook, or you or your friend who does a push-up, they spread their hands wider than their shoulders, and their elbows shoot out towards their sides, and they come in like this. It's about a 45-degree angle. This is a 90-degree angle. That's going to hurt your shoulder. A push-up is about a 45-degree angle, so that when you go back, you have the mobility, you have the motion to be able to do a push-up. A chaturanga, your elbow comes to your side, and the push-up is like this. So here's the difference. Push-up, chaturanga. So, see the space difference? When you're doing a chaturanga, you want your hands to come by your side. So your hands and your elbow placement shouldn't move from your plank to your chaturanga to your upward facing dog, right? Your hands should never have to move, and your wrists should never feel wonky. If you're in a plank, and then you bend your elbows out to your sides to chaturanga down, this is wonk and this is uncomfortable. I don't even have any weight on my body. This is wonk and this is uncomfortable, right? Look at my wrists. And then you go to upward facing dog and you have to wrap your elbows back in, right? And so instead of having to do that thing, right, why don't we just make our arms just go like this? And so the only action is the hinge action as you go back and forth. So to set that up, this piece right here of our arm, so I want you to do this yourself. Shake your arm. We do this to get rid of any like extra thought of our hand, of our movements. And I want you to place your hand palm up. You can see your elbow crease, right? Here. It's called the elbow crease. I've heard eye of the elbow before. That's this to me. So when they say bring the eye of your elbow, I'm like, is this the eye of my elbow or is this the eye of my elbow? So I say crease. This is the crease of your elbow. Then you're going to keep your crease up and you're going to rotate your palm down. Oh, you can do it. I promise you can. Crease is up, palm is down. So breathing here. I know it's working my arms so much because this part of my body is opening. This part of my body is turning down. So these stay up, these rotate down. That way, when I chaturanga, I'll have the space for this to bend, because if my elbow is like this, when I bend, I'm going to bend like that. But you want your elbows, the elbow crease to be facing forward so that you chaturanga bend. So let's try it in our tabletop. So just come into your tabletop. Find your plank hands, right? Pointer fingers facing forward, pressing away from the ground, right? Spreading those shoulder blades apart, creating the space in your chest. Then I want you to look at your elbow creases. Wrap your elbow creases towards the front of the room. Now, my friends, my loving yogis, my lovely yogis, what is going to happen right here? I promise you it's going to happen, and it's totally fine. What's going to happen is your thumb and your pointer finger are going to come up. Because remember, it was really hard to keep this down when this was up. So this, I've been doing it for 7 years now, so my body just does it, right? But it's really hard to not want to do that. So when we wrap, this is what our hand wants to do. So which is why I say, and that's going to put all the weight in here. When we open and we put our hand like this, all the weight is now onto our pinky. Remember, this is just bone. We shouldn't be putting weight there. So we want to be putting weight into the thumb. So when we come in, we wrap our elbow creases forward. We acknowledge, we know that my pointer finger, where my pointer finger touches my palm, that's going to want to come up. So I reinforce and I press that down again. Then, all I'm going to, remember I'm in my tabletop, right? So I've set up my arms. Then I'm just going to bend my elbows. Woo! Straighten the arms. Bend the elbows. Woo! Straighten the arms. One more time. Bend the elbows. Straighten the arms. Okay. Chaturanga typically is 90-degree bend. Here. That's where you pause at that 90-degree point. So if you want to practice that in a mirror or in a video, not going to 90 degrees or lowering all the way down to the floor, it's not going to be the end of the world. If you've never done a chaturanga before, then you probably haven't built enough tricep muscle to be able to be confident and comfortable enough to feel like you're not going to smash your face into the floor if you hold it 90 degrees. You could also have a neighbor or a friend be like, keep lowering, okay, 90 degrees. You could do that too. Or you can just look and be like, okay, 90 degrees, not 90 degrees. Another thing you want is an open chest. So a lot of the times what will happen is we'll round forward when we lower, and then we have to wrap up and back when we come back up again. And I'll talk about that in a second, but I was doing that in my first chaturanga right now. So let's come to our plank. Let's come to our plank and find our elbows open. So I'm going to find my plank hands, and then I'm going to step back into my plank, right? Pressing away from the ground, pressing my thighs to the sky, pulling my belly button in, pushing my heels back. My elbow creases are reaching forward. Now, here's the game changer. Come onto your tippy toes. Let your shoulders past your wrists, and then come back. Shoulders over wrists again. Come onto the tippy toes. Shoulders, come back. Do this a few times. Just get your forearms to stretch. If you're shaking, I'm shaking. Woo! Oh. Okay, now, come into your plank. Shift forward. Drop your knees down. Untuck your toes. I want you to see where my hips are at. My hips didn't lift, right? My hips didn't drop down. My hips are aligned so that when I bend all the way down to the floor. What I want you to try is I want you to try that a few times. I want you to shift forward. I want you to get into your plank. I want you to shift forward, then drop your knees. Keep your core engaged and lower down to your belly. One at a time with those elbows. I'll wait. I want you to do that 3 times. So I'm in my plank. I'm going to do it once with you guys. I'm in my plank. I'm going to shift forward, drop my knees, untuck my toes, just bend my elbows down to the floor. I lower at the same time, and then come up and back. I didn't move my hands at all. and I lowered down like a plank. That's what I call a plank. I didn't lower down like spaghetti, right? I lowered down like dry spaghetti, like a plank. Now, do that a while, right? Do that a while. Maybe don't do it in class. If you're like, oh, I gotta do full chaturanga all the time, take your ego out of it, right? It doesn't matter if you have to drop your knees or you don't have to drop your knees. You're still doing yoga and you're still kicking serious ass by coming out here and rolling out your mat. So if you have to come in and drop your knees down for a few months until you build up this tricep strength, who cares, right? You're doing yoga, you're not injuring yourself, you're having fun, and you're doing something good for yourself, right? Drop your knees down, I promise you. A lot of people become injured because they have this injury or this ego of, I can't drop my knees because then it makes me weak. No, getting an injury because your ego gets in the way, that's what's gonna make you weak. But let's say you've started to build up this tricep strength, right? You're like, okay, I'm feeling good. Now, let's do a regular chaturanga. So I'm gonna find my plank. My elbow creases are facing forward. I'm puffing up my back. Everything in my plank. I'm gonna shift forward on my toes. I'm just bending at my elbows. And I lowered all the way down to the floor. That is how I practice my chaturanga. You can also, so you can do it with the knees. You can do it without the knees, lower all the way down to the floor, or you can hover. And I'll show you how to hover right now. So I'm in my plank. I'm gonna shift forward. I'm gonna bend my elbows, 90 degrees, hanging here. Woo. Now you don't really stay in chaturanga for that long, but that is, you hold and you hover. That's your chaturanga. Practice that, elbows in by your sides. I promise you, if you practice this, and you know, this is a push-up, this is a chaturanga, this is a push-up, this is a chaturanga, then you'll be more comfortable here, yes? And I've also taught that I want you to give the inside of your bicep right here, I want you to give yourself a rash, right? I want you to touch here. I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to do this. I want you to do this, right? Unless you are a big man with big shoulders, then your hands are gonna be a little bit wider, right? Your hands are gonna be a little bit wider. Pointer fingers always point up or out. If you have big shoulders and you're really super muscular in the shoulders, then you're not gonna have the space to do this. Then we'll put you here. But I would ask your yoga teacher in person where your hands should be, and your yoga teacher in person will be able to help you with that. Next up, so we did the plank, we did the chaturanga. What comes next? Upward facing dog. There's 3 options when you go to scoop your chest forward. You can come into a baby cobra, you can come into a full cobra, or you can come into an upward facing dog with the thighs off the floor. So I'm gonna demonstrate those 3 poses right now. So I lowered all the way down onto the floor. The biggest thing that I don't think anybody talks about enough is that a lot of people, when they press up, they bend their knees and their feet are just hanging out. And so I want your feet to be down on the floor. I want you to press your big toe and your baby toe into the mat so hard that your knees come off the floor. That's what I want. I want you to be pressing into the floor with your feet so that your knees come off the floor. Then hands shouldn't have moved from where they were. If you release your shoulders, let's say you released your shoulders down, shoulders roll up and back, shoulder blades squeeze together, elbows squeeze in, just lift your chest. Maybe the hands come off the floor. And then we don't do this, right? We keep the extension in our neck nice. Okay, that was baby cobra. Full cobra. Okay, full cobra is hands spread wide. You shouldn't have moved, right? You're planting into the mat. Your knees are lifting off the mat, so everything's exactly the same. You roll the shoulders back, and you press yourself all the way up. Chest is open, squeezing the arms in, pressing into the mat with your feet. You can fully extend, or you can extend just a little bit. Again, we do not look to the sky. We look forward. I'm going to show you a vinyasa with a cobra, with the full cobra. And then I'm going to show you a vinyasa with an upward facing dog. So let's say I'm here, and the teacher says vinyasa. So I'm going to plant my hands, step back into my plank, puff everything out, right? Shift forward, chaturanga bend, cobra. Now essentially, you want the chest to stay open. So nothing really changed in my chest from my chaturanga to my upward facing dog, or my high cobra. So I want you to see that again, and this time I want you to look at my chest, my shoulders. Right? Nothing changed. The only thing that changed was I bent and I unbent. I bent and I unbent. What happened was I dropped my belly and I extended this. This didn't really have to do anymore. The third option is upward facing dog, and that's your feet press into the ground so much that your thighs actually come off the floor. So I'm going to show you that in movement. So I'm here, my teacher says take your vinyasa, I plant my hands, I step back into my plank, I shift forward, I chaturanga, and then I upward facing dog. Thighs are off the floor, feet are pressing into the mat, chest is open, belly is pulling forward. See how my mat moved? Because I'm pulling forward. Whew. Baby cobra, hands off, squeeze in, upward facing or full cobra, all the way press, pulling the chest forward. Nothing should happen in the shoulder area and the chest area. That should already be set in your chaturanga. Upward facing dog, so much pulling that my feet pulled, right? Then we flip to downward facing dog. So plank, knees down, knees up, chaturanga, knees down, knees up. We're always shifting forward. When we go to do the bend, we do baby cobra, full cobra, or upward facing dog. And then we go to downward facing dog or child's pose. So I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, and then I pull up from my belly, flip my toes, pike my hips, press up and back. So the motion comes from right here. So I come up and back. That's how you go, up and back. I'm going to teach you how to jump back into your chaturanga. So let's say, so that's your vinyasa, right? Plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. That's your vinyasa, and those are all the variations that you can take. And there's infinite variations because you can do your knees down, but then you can take an upward facing dog, and then you can go into downward facing dog, or you can do knees up, baby cobra, child's pose. You can make any three poses go together that you want. You have 2 options in your chaturanga, you have 3 options in your upward facing dog, and you have 2 options in your downward facing dog, down dog or child's pose. The most advanced option would be to hop back into chaturanga. Now, as a yoga teacher, the same thing that we see here, and we're like, oh, you're gonna injure yourself just lowering like this. We see people jump back into their plank. Now, one time in my teaching career, I've seen a person jump back into their plank, and I was like, I'm okay with that. Because she jumped back into her plank really, really lightly. She didn't make any noise, and she used her core the entire time. But a lot of the times when our students jump back into plank, they jump back, they slam their feet down, they slam their hands down, and it's just like compression in their whole body, right? And so your teacher definitely wants you to step back until you build the strength to land in your chaturanga. Now you need to test it, right? So if you don't feel strong enough, master your chaturanga and then start to jump back. So don't start jumping back until you've mastered your chaturanga. Please, as nicely as I can say. Okay, let's teach you how to jump back. Woohoo! So generally you'll jump back if you've come from stand. So let's say I'm standing. So I'm gonna inhale, halfway lift, flat back, forward fold. I'm gonna bend my knees as much as I can, as much as I need to, plant my hands into the floor, set myself up just like my plank, yes? So I'm setting myself up. Let me do it one more time. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folds deeper, plant my hands, set my chaturanga up, and then I shoot back into chaturanga. And then I come to up dog. So you can't really hear because the microphone is just right here, but you wouldn't have been able to hear it. But I didn't make any noise when I landed. And it's not because, oh, I'm so great, I'm so good at chaturanga, and I'm so good at jumping back that I didn't make any noise. It's that I was using my core so that when I landed, my core took the brunt so that my feet could just float back, right? So my core was so engaged that I had no weight in my arms, and I had no weight, everything was working, but I didn't compress, I kind of bounced, right? And so it's healthier for my joints. I'm gonna do it again. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold deeper, plant the hands, set yourself up, just like you're gonna do for your plank and chaturanga. And when you jump, you bend your arms simultaneously. So I'm gonna bend my arms and shoot my feet back at the exact same time. And then my upward facing dog. So I kind of bend and land, bend and land, bend and land, at the exact same time. Okay, yogis, please ask your yoga teacher for alignment questions. Go in, show your teacher your chaturanga, show your teacher your plank, show your teacher your upward facing dog. Let your teacher look at you. We cannot be our own teachers. And so every single teacher needs a teacher. I didn't know I rolled my shoulders forward in my chaturanga until a teacher, told me, Bree, open your chest and then chaturanga down. I didn't know I was doing that. And so when you're watching these videos and you're learning this at home, apply it, learn it, put it into your practice, but then go ask somebody how it looks. And it doesn't really matter how it looks, it matters how it's affecting your body. So when your teacher's looking at how it looks, they're looking at your bones being aligned. They're not looking at how good you look or how awesome your chaturanga is or anything like that. They're literally looking, is this person gonna injure themselves? Is this person doing the best thing for their body and their musculoskeletal system, right? And so ask your teacher. We love talking about this kind of stuff. If you do chaturanga and if you do a vinyasa, tag me and tag the studio so that we can see it, so that we can kind of see your progression and watch you grow. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you later.